Welcome back to Casually Caffeinated. You'll notice that we're in a different environment today.
Yep, not in the kitchen.
Not in my kitchen. Good news. You won't hear my dog for sure this time.
There you go.
And I'm here with my dear friend and colleague, Allie Harris.
All right. Glad to be here.
And we're so excited and passionate to bring you Light Your Fire Beyond the Burnout. So for the next 3 months, as we're wrapping up and heading into Q4, we're going to be talking about practical ways to fight burnout, whether it's for yourself or at an organizational level, and things we can do to really address these types of issues.
Yeah. I know we've talked that the last Casually Caffeinated, you guys talked about burnout, and we thought about, what do we need to do to progress that conversation and be able to first start by identifying burnout, making sure we know what it is, how to recognize it, but then taking it a step farther and giving practical tools to be able to help deal and cope with that, and then be able to move forward and move beyond it. Our circumstances are what they are, and then we have choices to make of how we can handle those situations. So kind of just taking a step farther.
Absolutely. So first, let's talk about what's coming up.
Yep.
And then let's address what we mean when we talk about burnout.
Yeah.
So our next installment of Casually Caffeinated is going to be with myself and a guest. And I am super excited for this guest, and you should be too. She's nationally renowned, but I don't want to give away the surprise. But I've basically been stalking her for at least 4 to 5 years now.
Not creepy. It's okay.
Not creepy at all. But she really changed my outlook on what burnout looks like. That went from it's a legitimate thing to how do we address it, and how do we invest in taking care of ourselves today so we can keep going tomorrow.
Yep.
And she's going to come and we're going to talk about practical self-care that doesn't involve an Instagram account or the world's fanciest bathroom or beach somewhere, but things you can do in 60 seconds while your kid is virtual learning, your dog is going crazy, and your boss is waiting on an email.
Right. Yep. And then the next little piece is going to be myth busting and kind of identifying the lies that we tell ourselves. So kind of recognizing those mental ruts we can get into and the thoughts that we have and the things we tell ourselves that kind of continue us down a negative path, and then kind of trying to have that conversation about recognizing them and then reframing those thoughts into a more positive and impactful way. So an example of that would be like, I'm fine. I'm good. No worries. Like, how are you? I'm fine, when everyone knows if you say I'm fine, you're probably not fine. So what is really going on? Or another one I think we said was, yeah, don't worry, I can do it. Like, can you get this done? Yep, no problem. Even though you're swamped, overworked, and kind of looking at some of those boundaries of things that we can kind of put up.
I'm so happy to put 30 hours into a 24-hour day.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Bring it on.
Possible.
Yep.
Our next installment will be with myself and another amazing guest. Again, I don't want to give it away. They taught me that in broadcaster school. No. No, not really. However, in today's environment, we know that folks are dealing with a lot of interpersonal and personal stressors and pressures, as well as work pressures. And a lot of those times, there's not even any differentiating between work and home. So maybe their compensation or their job is secure with you, but it still means that they are facing other interpersonal stressors in their lives. So when productivity takes a dip or engagement lessens, how do we performance manage with empathy? And so I'm really excited to dig into that, because I think performance management during these times may look different than our classic model.
Yes, very much so. And then the 5th session or part will be burnout beyond the mask or behind the mask. And I think there's a couple different pieces to that of like, what does that even really mean? And I think it's important to recognize with this climate that we're in, wearing masks, we're we're more disconnected from one another than we ever have been, and we use facial cues and social cues to read one another and interact with one another, that we're missing out on that piece. And even taking it a step farther to think about, the masks people wear and what they might be hiding or not sharing with the world, and everyone has a struggle that you might not know about. So kind of taking it to that deeper level. But then even on the surface level, just the things we miss with wearing a mask and interactions with people one-on-one. So it's just it can be awkward.
If anyone knows awkward, it's me. And I had one of those interactions myself with Grace. She's going to be in one of your sessions on myth busting. And she was so sweet. I had my hands full of things, but she gave me this great big hi in her mask. And I just stood there and I said hi behind my mask. All she saw me was stand there and stare at her.
Yeah.
And she stood there and stared at me. And we both stood there.
Right.
And it literally was not until I was walking back to my desk that I was like, that was really awkward. What could have happened or initiated it? And then that is when I realized I said hi behind my mask. Mm-hmm. So I had to go and tell her that, which again, awkward.
Hey, I'm sorry I'm awkward about being awkward, right? Like,
listen, if I could have cards made up with that exact thing on them, you would have them right now.
Yeah.
And then our last one will be in mid-December, and we'll recap what we've talked about. We'll talk about things that have worked for us. We'll talk about things that haven't worked for us, because I guarantee there will be things that haven't worked. And we'll talk about what 2021 looks like.
Right. Yeah, we'll be kind of refilling your cup. So we've talked before about you can't pour from an empty cup, which means you can't give to others if you're not giving to yourself as well. So looking forward into 2021, what kind of things can you do to make sure you have the energy and, just that passion for life again, to be able to take that step further and kind of reclaim some of your energy, relight your fire, which is, it just sounds so good. Yeah.
I really like the name. And if we have not mentioned something that you want to hear about, feel free to reach out to us and give us some feedback, and maybe we can amend the schedule or talk about what that looks like.
Yep.
But we definitely would love for this to be an interactive process. If things haven't worked for you, let us know, because we're all in this together.
Yeah.
So what are we in together? So let's just really quick talk about what is burnout.
Yeah, burnout to me, and it can mean different things to everybody. Everyone experiences it on their own and in different ways, but I know I'm burnout when I don't have the focus and attention that I typically do. I'm irritable and bitter and just I don't find as much enjoyment out of the things that typically bring me joy. And I can feel myself just being in that negative space, negative energy, and not able to pull myself out with the typical things that normally work or help. So those coping skills that I might typically use are not giving me the results that I need.
Or you're not even engaging in them.
Yeah.
That's usually how I know there's a big problem. And that level of cynicism, which I always have, and I always enjoy. But when that goes off the charts, that's when I realize, okay, something's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So as we start to discuss what practical measures we can take to address these that, again, aren't going to end up on the gram.
Right.
They're going to be things that you can do with your kids running around, with your dogs howling, with your email buzzing from work, and then taking it to an organizational level as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited to dig into it.
Yeah, it's going to be a great conversation. We do want it to be open, so open for feedback, but then also be able to give some real practical tools. So it should be a really good session.
So welcome. We're excited to have you with us as we progress through this journey and, dare I say, adventure?
Yep, adventure. I'll say it.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.
Take care.